if you're a fan of 80s pop music and serial killers, and you're just constantly on the lookout for a way to combine those loves, then look no further than American Psycho. This is a hell of a movie, released in 2000, now at 15 years old. I think it's well deserving of the classic status that it currently holds. I mean, definitely a large contributing factor to that would be Christian Bale in his role as Patrick Bateman, the crazy yuppie who is a Wall Street broker by day and a murderer by night. It really has to be one of his first standout roles, really. I mean, this is something that kind of put him on the map and made people take notice and say, hey, this Christian Bale guy, he can do something a little different, a little special, a little extreme. And extreme he is as Patrick Bateman. You know, every so often we will get characters like this that are just so like far beyond any kind of normal human behaviors or rules. Characters that are so kind of detestable. We're repulsed by them, but we're compelled by them at the same time because they still do have human traits that we respond to. And I would cite characters like Alex DeLarge from A Clockwork Orange, Travis Bickle from Taxi Driver, Mickey Mallory from Natural Born Killers, so, kind of in that area, but definitely with Patrick Bateman. He expresses in this movie definitely a desire to be normal, quote unquote. He says, I just want to fit in and be normal. He's almost like this alien that fell to Earth and is trying to feign human behavior. So he's, when he's with people, he's saying things that he thinks they want to hear and acting ways that he thinks are acceptable. But one apparent thing about this character is that he seems to be completely miserable in every social situation he's in, except for times when he's doing his killing, which is seems to be his drive. And even when he's doing that, he doesn't seem to get like a joy out of it. More like this kind of just drive to do it, this undesirable, uncontrollable urge to do so. So I think that's something that's compelling about the character. And I mean, definitely another sign of a good movie, of course, would be that you can interpret it in different ways. And American Psycho, I mean, definitely as a film, as a piece of art, you can, of course, interpret it in many different ways. And I think the way Mary Herron has interpreted the source material here, I do think it's open for quite a few interpretations, and it has been interpreted in quite a few different ways. For sure, you can kind of look at it at face value. You can see this as exactly as it is. He's a Wall Street broker by day, murderer by night. He does all this crazy murdering and has a fun time until finally at the end, things go crazy. And well, there will be spoilers in this review, but just a warning. So you can look at it that way, and it's a perfectly acceptable movie that way, and perfectly entertaining movie that way. But of course, you can look at it a little further, like a satire of the yuppie culture, the materialistic, shallow culture. There's a lot of riffing at that. And that's all really amusing. Like you see these get-togethers and how shallow these people are, how obsessed they are, with having the latest fashions, the best business cards, the reservations at Dorsia, things like that. So I mean, it's definitely praised for that aspect of it. Also, I mean, definitely with a female director like Mary Herron. Who I think she has gone on record as saying, like, this is like a feminist type of piece. You can look at it as like this kind of look at male insecurity, kind of like the male id, and his kind of almost like fantasies. Because like you can look at this movie, you can look at it and say, well, it's possible that all these murders that are taking place are completely within Patrick Bateman's head, and there are, of course, especially near the end, there's support for that because no one seems to know he's doing the killing, and he completely fesses up. He admits everything, and people are like, as he talks to his lawyer, he's like, "What are you talking about?" Basically. And one interesting interpretation I've heard is that the secretary character played by Chloe Sevigny, she at the end she finds his little notebook where he has all his drawings. So one way to interpret that is like, well, he's at work, he's drawing in there, and the drawings are really his fantasies, and that's kind of what it all really is. So it's not really happening, and you kind of look at it that way, and kind of the male insecurity and this dull life and acting out on these fantasies and all this type of male ego kind of stuff. in Roger Ebert's review of the movie, he said of the infamous uh, business card comparing scenes, he said they may as well be comparing their phalli. So I mean, there's definitely something to take from that. Uh, Also, like this could be a dismissal of Wall Street itself. I mean, like you can say of these Wall Street guys, they get away with murder figuratively. But here it's literally, so kind of looks at it that way, and to what extreme is it a complete crime and things like that. If you look at the ending, there's so many gears in motion. No one knows who's doing anything or who's who. You can't stop the wheels of this crazy machine, which is kind of like Wall Street and finances. Like who knows where that starts and begins, things like that. So it's just this uncontrollable beast that Patrick Bateman is a part of, and his confession means nothing, which he states at the end. Which that's an interesting thing too. It's like, does he kind of fess up because he feels guilt, or because he's just exhausted and can't carry on anymore? Or does he want recognition? So that's an interesting aspect too. So there's all these ways to interpret it, and I think this might, with all that in mind, I think it might make like a good double bill with like the Wolf of Wall Street. This is the original Big Bad Wolf of Wall Street. He's got some teeth, I'll tell you that. But yeah, there's just all this great stuff in this movie. So I mean, it is really something special, I think. Very memorable scenes, of course. I mean, we have this great stuff with Bale doing his prep for today, and we see his apartment, which is like very, very white. So it kind of looks like the inside of like an asylum room or something like that. And we see him like taking off like the face mask and doing his jump rope and things like that. His daily routine. And we see his routine in his murdering, which is always really, every time we see it, it's not like the same kind of perfunctory kind of stabby stuff like that. There's always something a little bit different. So we see one scene where we anticipate him to murder, like the threesome scene, where he's like playing Susulio, looking at himself in the mirror. And he was like, yeah. And then we like see him opening a drawer, and we think, oh, he's gonna kill these girls, but no, he doesn't. But then he does later. So there's always something to kind of keep you guessing. I mean, I guess the best scene has to be when he kills Paul Allen, or is it Paul Allen? Who is it really? Played by Jared Leto, actually. This whole diatribe about Huey Lewis in the news, this whole kind of speech as he's listening to Hip to Be Square, does a little dance, which is really fun, and then, says, "Hey, Paul," and chops him up. "Try getting a fucking reservation at Dorsia now." Great. Lights up the cigar. Full of blood. I think it's a great scene. So it has memorable moments to its scenes. So, I mean, there's a method to Mary Herron's madness when she does this type of gory scenes. And like, I think Oliver Stone was originally slated to direct it, and you can like almost kind of picture how it would be if Oliver Stone directed it. So I think Mary Herron was a really good get, and kind of an outside-the-box choice to direct this material. Definitely controversial material. Bret Easton Ellis wrote the novel, and I haven't read it, but from what I hear, it's like 10 times more extreme. So, to work with this material in kind of a delicate way, in a careful way, in a stylish way that at least has a method to it, not just complete carnage. I think Mary Herron is very successful in doing so, particularly with kind of the aspects where we bring in kind of a risky kind of chess piece to this game with Willem Dafoe's character, the investigator, where we think maybe it's going to turn into this type of pursuit type of thing. Like, is it going to be, resulting in a standoff between the cop and the criminal, things like that. But it's a smarter movie than that. One interesting, tidbit I read of it, like when Mary Herron filmed the scene, she told Willem Dafoe, okay, play this scene on this take where Patrick Bateman did it. So play it like that. And then in the next take, play it like you don't know that he did it. And so she kind of like took those scenes and kind of mixed them together to create kind of an inconsistent kind of mood. And I think that's absolutely brilliant. And I think the thing about the Willem Dafoe characters, ultimately, whether he knows or not, I don't think it matters. I think he does kind of like he likes Patrick Bateman a little bit. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some theory out there that it's that character that's kind of covering up for him, and just because he maybe has a crush on him or admires him in some kind of way. Who knows? But there's kind of weird relationships like that, and with the Chloe Sevigny character, where I think she's probably the only character that could stand for some kind of redemption to Patrick Bateman. Like, he doesn't kill her. He was very close. He's holding the nail gun right to her. He could have done it, but he didn't. And of course, she's the only one who really finds out his secret and believes it. Basically, we see that scene, which we don't really get a resolution to, which kind of works really well, because the movie leaves things hanging. She sees the notebook and she's like shocked by it and starts crying, which is just amazing. But then there's the Reese Witherspoon character kind of represents the yuppie life, which he can't stand that life, things like that. And the woman he's having an affair with, and he just has all these balls in the air. His balls are everywhere. And, it just kind of amounts to the scene where everything just goes nuts. He's going insane. The ATM machine is telling him, "Feed me a stray cat." And he's like, "What's going on?" And just all kind of fizzles out in this way where I think he burns out, basically. So again, I don't know if it's guilt or just exhaustion, or he wants some kind of recognition finally. So it's hard to say, but I think that's good to kind of interpret. But yeah, this is a hell of a movie. Again, you can look at it a little deeper. You can kind of analyze it, pick at it, like I'm trying to do and not doing a good job. But ultimately, you can kind of look at it as this kind of blacker than black comedy where this guy's just killing people, and it's fun. So it's a fun movie in its own darkly comedic way. And Christian Bale is brilliant in the movie. So I love it. If you haven't seen American Psycho, 1, what's wrong with you? 2, get it immediately. This is a great movie, and it's not maybe necessarily a horror movie. I think it's good to watch around October time, because it has a lot of carnage and crazy killing, stuff like that. So, yeah, I love the movie. I think it's one of the greatest movies of the last 15 years, so definitely check it out. That's my review. Be sure to comment, rate, subscribe, all that good stuff. Visit Derek237.com. Stay tuned for more 31 Days of Horror reviews. Got plenty more coming. Until then, stay scared, and I'll see you later.